Today we've come to the medieval centre of Pontefract, to Pontefract Castle, to see what Pontefract Castle's all about. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go inside and see what Pontefract Castle's got to offer the local tourist. Right, so the castle was first constructed in the 7th century, and it was just a simplistic wooden fort, you know, and it just housed a few soldiers to protect the medieval town of Pontefract. And like I says, it was just a simplistic wooden fort, but there were loads of battles fought here, and people fighted for this castle here in Pontefract. You know, you take a look around now and it's just a simple ruin. Hardly anybody even known that once upon a time, right, there was a massive castle here, housing thousands and thousands of people. It was like the nerve centre of Pontefract. This was at the centre of Pontefract. So, back in 1080, what happened was the actual old castle was overhauled, and it was obviously dismantled and rebuilt, and it was built out of local stone. In 1080, just after the Domesday survey, and as you can see, it was built out of local stone. This sort of stone, the castle was built entirely out of this sort of stone, which is sandstone. Castle was built out of sandstone, which were locally sourced material. Sandstone was a very easily sourced material around Pontefract. So they built castle out of it back in 1080, you know what I mean? The castle was built by Hilbert de Lacy. Now, the de Lacys were a big family, and also Hilbert de Lacy, right, were best mates with the great William the Conqueror. And William the Conqueror just said, build me a castle, Hilbert. So Hilbert just thought, yeah, I'll just build this castle, right? And in return for building the castle, the de Lacy family were able to ravish the north of England and buy vast amounts of land, big plots of land. And they were a big family back then, you know what I mean? In 1531, Catherine Howard, who was Henry VIII's wife, got caught performing a sexual act on Sir Thomas Culpeper. She spent the night with Sir Thomas Culpeper in the royal apartments at Pontefract Castle, and because of this she got found out about it, and she got beheaded with every out trial. Henry VIII just said, no, I'm not having this, Catherine, it's time to get rid of you. So he just had her beheaded, you know, for performing oral sex on Sir Thomas Culpeper, and that actually happened way back then. Great, innit? And it happened here at the royal apartments at Pontefract Castle. So let's talk about the geology of the castle. Now the land, the actual castle itself, is sat on a natural rock platform, so it's stood up, and the land slopes away to the north, south and east of the castle. Now to the west, which is behind me, that's Pontefract in that direction, the land slopes up. So with the castle being on a natural rock platform and being pretty high up, it got near as damn it, a full 360-degree view of the local surrounding area. Now rumour has it, and it hasn't actually been proved, but there was also a network of tunnels which went from the actual castle into Pontefract to the surrounding area. So if the castle ever got invaded, you know, there was actually an escape route out of the castle. But like I said, there's not actually anything documented to say that these tunnels actually exist. Another adultery event that happened at this castle in 1569, Mary the Queen of Scots spent the night in the royal apartments, which are behind me at this castle, and committed adultery with what was believed one of the castle's employees at the time. And that also happened at this castle, so it was a pretty horny castle, wasn't it, really? You know, everybody was getting it on at Pontefract Castle back in 1500s. Even Queen were coming for a jump, like, you know what I mean? So, just a little bit, just another fact about this castle, you know. Everybody was getting it on here back then, couldn't believe it. Right, so we've come to the north side of the castle. And we've come to an area of the castle which is known as Swillington Tower. What Swillington Tower was an outcrop that went over the moat, and it was a tower. You see in my background in this area here. So here there'd been a walkway that had come up, which went outside the castle wall, and there was a Swillington Tower there, and it was a watchtower. So this would be the gate to Swillington Tower. I mean, if you're looking today, there's not much remnants, but if you look down there, you can obviously see, if this is the castle wall in front of me here, that there were actually a walkway, and the castle was obviously there. If you could just, in front of that T-junction to the Monkhill railway station, that's where the Swillington Tower was, and it was just a watchtower. And if you look behind me, we've got some good views of Castleford and the surrounding area. So if you scope round and have a look, you know, you can see why as it were on a rock plateau, this castle. You can see, as you can see, it's raised up. And it gives good views to the north, to the east and to the west. Obviously that's the west, but you know, it gives good views all the way round really, to be fair, because it were raised up. But Swillington Tower would have been a first line of defence for actual Pontefract Castle from invaders coming from the north. So this part of the castle is the great kitchen and the bake and the brew house. So this is where all really the utility base of the castle would have been. Now behind me, these remains behind me, that is what is known as the great kitchen. So obviously kitchen were there, and obviously in this direction here, what is known as the bake and the brew house. So all beer will have been made there, all bread will have been made there, and all food will have been cooked over there. So this would have been probably a really busy area. Obviously a lot of the castle's employees would have actually been based in this area, would have actually worked here. In 1399, Richard II was deposed from the throne and fetched to Pontefract Castle. Now it was fetched to this tower here, which is to my right, and it is known as the Gascoigne Tower. Richard II was physically abused here and left to die in the Gascoigne Tower. So he was left to die here. Now a little bit more about the Gascoigne Tower. Now next door to Gascoigne Tower in this area here, it's known as the Sallyport and the Well Tower. So this here would have been the water supply for Pontefract Castle. So obviously there would have been another tower here which would have housed the well and the water supply and the Sallyport for Pontefract Castle. And that is on the west side of the castle wall. We're on the west side at Castle Wall. So we've just come to the magazine. This is the cellar and the magazine at Pontefract Castle. Now it's closed today, as you can see. Got some padlocks on that and big metal doors, so we can't get in. But what this is the cellar. Obviously there's a cellar down there and it goes underground, and there's obviously chambers that lead off it. And this is the site where the rumoured one of the vast tunnels which left the castle would have started actually down this cellar. So obviously this is what we will use as a refrigerator. Obviously meat would have been kept down here, and obviously supplies for castle. Obviously it's the lowest point of the castle, that is the coldest point of the castle. So that's basically what it would have been used for. Also prisoners were kept down here and obviously left to die or whatever, but it were also used as a prison for the castle. So that's just a little bit about the cellar in the magazine. Right, so in 1311, the castle was passed to the House of Lancaster. The House of Lancaster only owned the castle for 11 years. What happened was the castle took off the House of Lancaster in the Battle of Boroughbridge. 11 years after he got castle. And then what happened to the castle after it had been took over and took from the House of Lancaster? It was given to the John of Gaunt. A guy called John of Gaunt bought Pontefract Castle and took it on and started living here as well. So it's had a lot of owners, this castle, really, and a lot of people have actually owned it and passed it on and passed it on. And also, for losing the Battle of Boroughbridge, Thomas, the Duke of Lancaster, was beheaded outside Pontefract Castle as well. I'm Colin The Head. This is Colin The Head's World of Everything. Right, so in 1640, Pontefract Castle was a royalist stronghold. What happened is, in the English Civil War, the normal people invaded the castle, and the castle was fetched to ruins, and the castle was left to how it is today. So in 1640, that was the demise of Pontefract Castle. That was the end, and it's been left like this ever since. So that's just a little bit about Pontefract Castle. Colin The Head, World of Everything.